if you've been doing freelance work for a while or you are just getting into it, then you probably encountered some storage issues. And that is unfortunately bound to happen, I think, with the camera's resolution and bitrate that goes up, and also the quality of a project that you need to sometimes manage. Sometimes you do need to record in RAW or ProRes, and unfortunately these files takes up massive space. What is the best storage solution for freelancers, or if you do run your own business? Now, I've tried many different solutions, and I want to start off by talking about what didn't work for me. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about what did work for me. So don't go away. I will share all my tips and secrets about storage solutions. So before we go into the storage solutions that didn't work for me, I first want to explain to you what I actually looked for in a storage solution. The first one is I had to be able to back up my files and to be able to access those files quickly and easily. The second thing is that when my hard drive or my computer gets stolen, will I be able to get back up and work and continue those projects as soon as possible? The third one was also very important to me because I travel quite often, so I had to be able to carry this storage solution with me everywhere that I go. So it had to be small and it had to be easy to carry around. And lastly, you would have to set this storage solution up quite easily and quickly. So with that in mind, let's jump into the solutions that didn't work for me. So the first thing that I tried was using a hard disk drive. Now the temptation is huge to get one of these bad boys because first of all, they are cheap. You can get crazy size hard disk drives, and so naturally, if you're starting out, this would be the first thing that you might want to do, and I want to tell you, don't do this. The reason for this is that your space generally on your computer is quite limited. So trying to edit all your projects off from your computer hard drive sometimes get a bit messy because you run out of space and then your system just doesn't work like it should. So the next best thing that you would want to probably try is trying to edit off a hard disk drive. Now, you could probably do it, but you're going to get so frustrated because unfortunately a hard disk drive is very slow. So if you're going to jump from one file to the next or from the beginning of a timeline to the end, it's going to stutter big time and it's just going to end up frustrating you. The second problem that I had with a hard disk drive is that I had so many hard disk drives and I got so confused about which projects were on which drive. So I had to go through all the drives to find that specific project that I was looking for. And on top of that, I kept running out of inputs on my computer. And that was also a massive frustration. The alternative to a hard disk drive is editing from an SSD. Now, this is a much better solution than a hard disk drive because the speeds are much faster, and also when you want to transfer files from one drive to the next, or from your computer to your SSD, or from your SSD to your computer, it is much quicker. The problem with an SSD is though that it is expensive, and unfortunately you can't have too many of those. Then you end up encountering the same problem as the hard disk drive. You keep running out of space, and when you do look for files, you have to run through all of these SSDs and it just becomes a mess. Is there a better solution? Absolutely. The solution that worked for me was Dropbox. And why it worked so well was that you can connect an external SSD to Dropbox. So you don't have to use any of your computer space. And with that, it was amazing. So I got myself a 4 terabyte SSD. The way that you set that up is you go into Google and you select this SSD to be your dedicated Dropbox drive. And once you select that, you have to format the drive. So you start your slate clean. Just make sure that it's a new drive or there's no important files. I've never really had syncing issues with Dropbox unless I run low on space. But the cool thing about Dropbox is that I could download all my files on Dropbox. And whenever I needed the files, I could literally just download it to my hard drive. If I was done with the project, I would just upload it to the cloud. And if something were to get stolen, no problem. I just get a new hard drive and I just sync my files once again, and I have access to all of those files. Now, you might think by yourself that, Dropbox packages are quite limited. If you get like a freelance or professional account, you have 5 terabytes, and that might not be a lot of space. Well, I signed up for the business account. So with the business account, you have to have at least 3 licenses with that, meaning that even if you are the only one using it, you have to pay for 3 licenses, and that for me was still worth it. I think it ended up being $96, $97 a month. And then with that business account, I get unlimited space. I have probably in the cloud at the moment over 30 terabytes of data, which I've backed up, and I haven't had any issues yet. It is a brilliant solution. So all my projects that I finish, I just upload it to the cloud and then download files whenever I need them. Another cool thing about Dropbox is that when I want to transfer or when I want to send clients files, multiple files, maybe 90 gigs worth of files, maybe to another editor, no problem. I just right click on that folder and I say send a copy, and I'm allowed to send 100 gig transfer at a time, which is fantastic because we transfer only allow you to send 2 gigabytes at a time with the free version. And obviously if you upgrade, you can send more. But if you have the Dropbox solution, then you don't have to worry about transfer limits. You can send up to 100 gigs, which is absolutely amazing. Some of the problems that I did encounter with Dropbox though was that sometimes I would get syncing issues, but like I said, it happens when you run out of space. Usually when you have 50 or 60 gigs left, you'll start seeing syncing issues happen on your hard drive. The other thing about Dropbox, it might be a bit pricey. Like I said, you have to pay for 3 people, and if that's an issue for you, then you could opt out for the smaller packages which could also do the same thing. And the last problem that I encountered with Dropbox is that if you do have slow internet, it really struggles to sync and it just becomes messy, because whenever you render something, it wants to upload, and when you want to download something, that could be quite frustrating. So I've encountered that whenever I travel to African countries and had to do some editing and some filming. And so if you do use Dropbox, make sure you've got fast internet and you'll be up and running in no time. Well, I hope that this video helped you. Please like and subscribe this video. This really helps me out, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.